afternoon. Welcome to It's Time with Charie. I'm very happy to be here. I would like to thank first my very good friend who invited me to be with you guys, the Director of Center for External Affairs, Mr. Roderick Samonte. Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me again here at CHMSC. Of course, I would like to acknowledge to the Dean of College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. J. Estrellas. Doctor, this afternoon is going to be very exciting because you will open your eyes and realize which career would be best suited for you. Would you like to steer your career path to a great direction? Would you want to succeed in life? Would you want to live your dreams? If so, you've got to lend us your ears and listen to our guests who have graciously accepted our invitation to share with all of you their respective careers, how they were able to find this career for themselves, and how they have achieved success in their respective careers. And so before I introduce my guests, I would like to acknowledge the students from the Bachelor of Secondary Education in Math. Very good. Clap your hands if your course is called Bachelor of Secondary Education in General Education. Bachelor of Education in Early Childhood Education. Bachelor of Secondary Education in MAPE. Bachelor of Secondary Education in TLE. And Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. Okay. And now, may I call on my guests? Let us start with Miss Jeneline Cordero. May I ask you to come here, sit with me, ma'am? Miss Jeneline Cordero is a Senior Tourism Operations Officer of the Provincial Government of Negros Occidental. May I also call on Amy Gargar, an entrepreneur, President of Brain Train School of Positivity and Golden Chief, International Manpower Organization. Marian Abo, a teacher fellow for Teach for the Philippines. Miss Len Manriquez. She is a program manager of the Hugan PRRCFI, otherwise known or called as Philippine Reef and Rainforest Conservation Foundation Incorporated. And of course, the last but not the least, she's very successful in her chosen field, the mentor of more than 700 financial agents in Manulife Phoenix Diamond, the region head of Phoenix Diamond in Manulife Philippines, Miss Nelia Nemenzo. A very good friend of mine. Since I've introduced them all, I would also like to acknowledge my friends at the back who's from Phoenix Diamond. They are there, ready to welcome you in case you're interested to join the career of being a financial agent. And now, I would also like to invite you to just raise your hand at any point that you have a question for our guests, okay? If you're willing to ask questions, or if you are shy to ask questions, just write it down on a piece of paper and submit it to John, or better yet, just raise your hand and come over and ask your questions. Because this interview, this panel discussion would be very interesting if it would be interactive, if you would be able to ask your questions. All right, so let us start. First, ladies, welcome to It's Time with Charie. If you have noticed, all of my guests here are women because this is also a culmination activity of the Women's Month, the celebration of Women's Month of Carlos Hilado Memorial State College. While you give a round of applause to our women here, I would just like to say that we make change work. That is the international theme, diba? We make change work. For women, we are here not just to empower ourselves, but to empower other women too. And so let us start now. That is the microphone. You will just share. Please introduce yourself. Tell us briefly about yourself, Ms. Jeneline.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jenny Cordero. Some call me doctor in the academe. I teach. I am a trainer for a senior tour guide trainer of the Department of Tourism. I'm a tour guide as well. And then I am a senior tourism operations officer of the province of Negros Occidental and a mother of two. And for my part-time job, I also teach in two schools here in the province.
Thank you. Miss Annie?
Hi, I'm Amy Grace Fergar. I'm a registered nurse, but I haven't worked in hospital for a day after I graduated. I have worked in Singapore for 7 years, and in 2015, I have established the very first and the only brain gym in the Philippines, Brain Train School of Positivity. And last February 2019, we just have our opening or the launching of our Golden She International Manpower Corporation. So from a registered nurse, I am already an entrepreneur at the age of 27, retired from a job, and I also finished my master's in business administration in Lasalle just last year, and now here I am pursuing a law degree in the opening of the school year.
Miss Marian?
Hello, good afternoon. I am Marian Abo. I graduated in 2017 from UP Diliman in Quezon City, where I also grew up. So yes, Tagalog po ako. And I was assigned, I'm employed under Teach for the Philippines, and here I am now assigned at Talisay Elementary School, where I am a teacher fellow. I teach math and science to grade 6 students, and I also handle reading remedial for grades 4 to 6 students.
Okay, thank you. Miss Len?
Mayong hapon sa tanan. Ako si Len. I'm Len Manriquez from the Philippine Reef and Rainforest Conservation Foundation Incorporated. Sorry, masyado siya kalawi. We are the foundation behind Denhugan Island. It's a conservation island in Kawayan. We are also the foundation behind Bulausik. It's a zero-waste store, the first ever zero-waste store in Negros Island. So I'm very happy later on to share with you how it is to work in the NGO sector. Thank you.
And of course, Miss Nelia.
Good afternoon. I am Nelia Fernandez de Menzo. I am the region head of Manulife Philippines. Presently, I'm handling more than 700 leaders and insurance agents in the country. So I am glad to be here to share whatever it is we can share to you today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Miss Nelia, let us start with you. Okay. Is your career aligned with your college degree?
Yes, Charie. I graduated BS Psychology. So if you notice in my kind of business, you are always there interacting to so many types of people. No? Like with my career in insurance business, we mingle not only to our leaders, to our agents, but as well as to Filipino people, the normal father and mother. And since I am a psychology graduate and had a master's in guidance and counseling, I am here to also process the dreams and aspirations of a father and a mother to their children. So it is really very important. Handling people also, like in sales, making things happen. Things about planting a dream in their heart. Okay, let them believe in themselves and then achieve something. You dream, believe, and achieve.
Wonderful.
So that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Miss Len, yes, is your career aligned with your college degree?
It's a very tricky question. I think it is in some way. I graduated Bachelor of Science in Mathematics. And if you think about it, you might say, oh, NGO, you don't really need math, but there's a lot of math and logic in every work that we do. So I would say that it's really aligned. I've used a lot of my learning in mathematics in the work that I do. You need to measure different indicators to say that you've achieved sustainable development goals, that you've achieved millennium development goals. So if you think about it, you need baseline data to measure that the change that you want to do in a community actually happens. And you cannot just say, oh, they're more happier. So but then what does happier mean? You need to be able to measure that. And I think that my career in math has helped that. Thank you.
How about you, Sarah?
I would say that my degree also matches with what I'm doing right now. Like Miss Nelia, I'm also a graduate of BS Psychology. And in psychology, we'll always look at the social-cultural factors and social-emotional factors that surround a child's development. So it was always important to look at a child not only through his or her academic abilities, but through their family background, through their interests, through what they love, through what they can always bring to the table, not just through their academics. And that's what always helps me move forward as I teach here in Talisay.
Yeah, thank you. What about you, Miss Amy? From being a registered nurse to an entrepreneur.
Actually, with my case, it is really different.
Yes.
I graduated Bachelor of Science in Nursing in LaSalle and in 2008. But during that time, I was already the very first nursing student government president of LaSalle, and actually it did not really sink into me why I took up that course, because during my time that was really very relevant and in demand in 2004. So most parents or scholarships are giving they're given to those who want to take up nursing. But of course, it's not really your passion. It was not really something that I really wanted to do, but I said, I'll just go on.
Yes.
So right after I graduated, because of course, more than the academics, I am really excelling in extracurricular activities. It paved me the way to really pursue what I'm passionate about. So right after I graduated, I was hired by Power Memory Bacolod.
Yes.
That's actually now the Braintree School of Positivity. So the first job that I have is the company now that I own.
Wonderful.
So I purchased it after 8 years when I came back to Philippines. So Power Memory Bacolod was already dissolved in 2009, and I promised myself I'll have to bring it back because it's the only memory enhancement training center. But later on, it evolved into something much different.
Yeah.
It became a school of positivity because it brings hope to every individual who are limited, who fall short of qualifications, or who are limited by score sheets or
Yes.
scorecards or the standards that are set by the society.
Yeah.
So I think your school has already evolved into something that we encourage people to bring out their own potential. So I discovered this passion when I worked in Singapore, which is totally not aligned to my course. At the age of 21, I already went out of the country. And not as a nurse. Contrary to popular belief that the only ticket to greener pastures is becoming a nurse, I went to Singapore at the age of 21 as a recruitment officer or a sales executive.
How did you find your way in that career?
Actually, because of course I was president of LaSalle, I have been one of the outstanding students. So the president of the JCI at that time, Kermit, was really able to see my, your
Potential.
personality. Because
Yes.
of course, guys, you have to understand you're not just supposed to invest in your academics. You have to invest on life skills.
Yes.
So you invest on your personality. Because at the end of the day, I don't have trainings on letter writing, teaching, and everything. The only thing that I have is guts and the guts and the confidence. So they saw me working without pay. Of course, because you're a student leader, you're really used to doing things without pay. You did not take up you did not take up the course because you have to take up your academics and
Yes.
career. But as president, you're not paid to do that, even if there's a free tuition fee.
Yes.
Nursing has really big miscellaneous fees.
So sometimes that's what really led you to your career, no?
Yes,
Guts is important.
Yes, very important.
And confidence.
So, of course, I'm not his relative,
Yeah.
but when he had his opening in his office in Singapore, the first person that came into his mind was me. So he recommended me there. So I'm really very humbled to tell all of you that I have never experienced job hunting. I am not the one hunting for people to recruit, so who wants to have careers overseas.
Because
So-
you're now a recruitment officer, an owner of
an owner of an
agency.
international recruitment
Okay.
officer.
Thank
I
you.
think I was the youngest according to POE administrator
That's
to own
wonderful.
the agency.
Miss Jen, is your career aligned with your college degree?
Is my career aligned with my college degree? Yes. Because I took up Bachelor of Mass Communication in Silliman University. We were taught how to write, simple writing of course. We would do features sometimes, and then we were also taught how to communicate well. And then, my first job was a part of the staff of Governor Lito Cosculuela.
Yeah.
The one who started with writing, making travel orders, office orders, and even his messages.
Yes.
I started that way 25 years ago. But I pursued a degree in Masters of Public Administration here in your campus. And I also studied Doctor in Public Administration at SDI. That was the only school offering the course then. So, is it aligned? It is, because communication and public administration is what my work is today.
Yes.
Being in government for 25 years, you have to be very passionate with your job. You have to love your job. That's why when we post pictures in Facebook, we always say, I love my job too. No? So,
Yes.
yeah, it helped a lot in
Yes.
communication and in dealing with the public.
Now, you've been with government for the past 25 years. Do you have tips on how to excel in your chosen career now in government service?
Oh, tips.
Yes.
Number one, I started at the lower level, a contractual employee, clerk 2 at that time, with the governor's office. And then, I also moved, we were the pioneers of the Tourism Promotions and Development Division 25 years ago. And then, I was not even a tourism graduate. But because of my passion and love for work, you wouldn't even count for your overtime pay.
Yeah.
All you want to do is learn a lot about Negros Occidental. I'm a Cebuana by birth. I grew up in Negros Oriental, but I learned and traveled all the way 32 towns and cities in the province. And that is how you learn about your province. Go to caves, climb the mountain, ride a carabao, ride a train in high heels with Japanese tourists,
Yes.
and be a tour guide. And that's a challenge we face in our job, and it works a lot.
Yes. Okay. What about you, Miss Amy? Your tips in excelling in business, because you said even if it's not aligned with your college degree, you have actually excelled because you bought the company you used to work for.
I started out with my own capital at no collateral. I am not coming from a well-off family. So I'm a really self-made woman. The real secret here is you need to have your whys. According to Mark Twain, there are two important things in your life: the day that you're born and the day that you found out why.
Yes.
I think with my experience with the school for 3 years, I have seen the Generation Z. They're no longer millennials.
Yeah.
The Generation Z has lack of motivation
True.
and the lack of faith in themselves. And more than anything else, whether we like it or not, the education system is not adjusting to our learners nowadays, so they're more discouraged and taken out. So I think for you guys, for you to excel in your careers, do what you can with what you have, where you are. You flow and obey. So wherever you're planted, just do what you can. Sometimes it doesn't make sense at that moment. So for me, like I'm a nurse. What am I doing here in Singapore? Doing recruitment office. Being a recruitment officer, I have to deal with different languages, diverse culture in Singapore. I have to deal with Indians, Malaysian, Chinese,
Yes.
Caucasian. And then I have no training for that. But if you're the person who will limit yourself, like, hey, I'm a nurse, I can't do that. The only thing I'm trained of is to inject other people.
Yeah.
But if you are the person who just say, okay, this is where I am right now. I do what I can always do, and obey. Because at the end of the day, you are going to be rewarded with your hard work. So you're not supposed to be very picky on work, or I'm doing my whole job but I'm not paid properly. Because at the end of the day, it will always be rewarding. You will not understand it at the moment,
Yes.
but when things make sense, it is really off the hook. Like for me, for 7 years, I thought I was stagnant. Everybody is getting away ahead of me. Of course, because my group of students are the outstanding student of the Philippines, so you can see them benchmarking in the different industries. But when I came back to the Philippines, everything just flowed.
Yes.
So everything that you planted, everything that you sow, you will really definitely reap.
Yeah, because that is true, no? Sometimes you cannot see the big picture. You just got to do what you've got to do where you are, no? At that time, and obey.
Correct. And
Yes.
just to add, because the millennials or the Generation Z are tagged in this manner, you are expecting great success with little effort. So I hope that this batch of students will definitely change that perspective
True.
to your culture. If you want to have success, there's no shortcut to it.
Yes.
We work hard for it. It's not just enough to dream.
It did not happen overnight.
Yes, and it's not enough to just dream.
Yes, you've got to wake up and make your dreams happen. Let's go to Miss Marian.
Tips
Yes.
for excelling in the NGO sector. Well, for the NGO sector, I think Ms. Kim would agree that it's much challenging because compared to other sectors, we would really need a lot of rallying, really need a lot of pushing people forward towards your cause because not everyone may believe in that same cause that you're fighting for. So I guess when you're in the NGO sector, if you want to really excel here, you really have to look first at what you're good at, look at what you can be paid for, look at what the world needs, and all those things. When the intersection of those things, those would be your passion or your ikigai. When you
Yes.
see that. And then for me in teaching as a teacher fellow, well, my purpose, the reason for why I always wake up in the morning are always my students. So every time that I always feel homesick for my family in Manila, every time that I always feel that the job of a teacher is so tiring, such a thankless job, such a difficult, ambiguous position to be in, I always find solace in the smiles, the comfort of my students. Surprisingly, especially the first few months na sobrang hirap na hirap ako dito, with the language, adjusting and all, whenever my students would come up to me and really hug me and greet me, "Good morning, Ma'am Marian," it would always make my day. So really, if in any career actually that you would want to put yourself in, you have to look for the why, para kanino ka bumabangon. And then for
Yes.
me, it's always para sa bata at para sa bayan.
That's wonderful. It is important to know your why. In that way, you will not get lost. You'll always have the inspiration to get up and do why you do what you do.
Yeah.
Let's go to Miss Kim.
Len po.
Len, Miss Len.
Yeah, I'm standing in for Kim. Kim's not feeling well right now. Tips in the NGO sector. There's a lot of good happening in the world, no? It's right what Amy said na your generation, it seems like everything seems to be like easy. There's a lot of hype in the social media, in the web 2.0, in the internet, that you don't really need to work. You can be a, what do they call that? Digital nomad. You can travel everywhere and work on your desk and not really be in an office. So things like that. Before probably those people got there, before I got to where I am right now, or people here in this panel, you really need to take the leap. You really need to get your hands dirty. You really need to work hard. Maybe if you're like born out of a rich family where you just need to manage your family's business, then that's a totally different story. But if you're starting out and proving to yourself that you could go somewhere in life and make things happen for other people, especially the NGO sector, it's really about doing something to create positive change. And maybe it's a misnomer that NGO is volunteering, it's only like that. No, it's not. The NGO sector is a huge, huge sector. People working in international non-government organizations are paid very well. And people working in the United Nations are all attached to non-government work, even if the United Nations is a state body in itself, diba? So to excel, I think it's all the same in all careers. It's not really limited to NGO or private or school or academic or entrepreneurial. It's really that time bala na you decide na you need to stand up, work hard everywhere to prove na you're efficient and you can make something happen. Otherwise, at the end of the day, when you're evaluated, then it's not gonna be a good evaluation. You're gonna lose your job.
Yeah.
And it's also frustrating for you, right? Because you're spending your time, your hour. So if there's like a secret, it's really put your heart, mind, and passion into what you're doing. Give it all your heart because it's your time. It's your time that you spend into that job. You don't want your time wasted. So it's really, really good. Even if it does not pay well, if you feel good and you learn a lot, that's really already something.
Yes, thank you, Miss Len. Of course, Miss Nelia, your tips to excel in your career.
Very simple. Everything starts with your why. Try to know the reason why you do what you do. You will be graduating soon, very, very soon. Try to look for a job which you are very passionate of. Because if you love what you do, you are just playing. Your office becomes your playground. Don't look for a job. First starts with your whys. Why? Then what and how will just follow.
True.
You should love what you do. Because if you will excel in your job, because you have the joy in your heart, giving your best every day. Right attitude is important. But by having that right attitude, no, and you are in the midst of so many, chaos and toxic people, no, you should guard your mind, you should guard your heart. The most important for you to become successful is try to know yourself first. What value you can give to others. And maybe the most beautiful part of finishing a course or landing in a job is what positive impact you can give to other people. And that's the most important part of working.
Yeah.
So the joy, what is this? Joy, I always, cascade this to my people. Joy, put Christ first in the center of your job. First, Jesus, then others, then yourself. Surely you will become very, very successful in life. Thank you.
That is beautiful. Joy. Jesus, others, yourself. Sometimes we fail because all we think about is ourselves. Why don't you rest from thinking about yourselves and think about others first? And then everything will just follow. Diba? At this point, I would like to encourage our audience for their questions. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or stand and ask the questions from our guests here. Does anyone have a question? Okay, none yet? Okay, may ara sa likod? Wala pa. So, later on, if you are brave enough to ask questions, please, all right, someone raised her hand or may nag-raise ang hand? His hand. Lalaki ang nag-raise ang hand? Nagkadlaw na nag-react. Nag-ano ka lang, nag-stretch ka lang. Okay. Kwan pa lang to siya, trial. Okay. What our guests here are sharing with us are truly inspiring. We could really pick up lessons from what they say, and because they speak from experience, not just from what they've read, but from what they lived out, diba? Miss Jen, if there is one thing that has defined you in your career and made you say, okay, this is it, this is the right career for me, what is that moment?
When I started in tourism, I really didn't know what to do yet. And then I had a very good boss. She was Tina Lapres. She's retired. She was a columnist of the Visayan Daily Star. And I admired her so much that I am also a columnist right now. I studied tour guiding because she was a very good tour guide. I just wanted to follow her footsteps. And then it reached to a point that I had to promote our province outside of our province. And then I participated in a lot of organizations. That's connectivity, being promoted and to develop. So where did I join? I joined the Association of Tourism Officers of the Philippines. I ran for secretary for the Visayas, became vice president for the Visayas, and ran unopposed as national president. So I served the Association of Tourism Officers. At the same time, I promoted my province. That's one thing that was that not any of the other tourism officers could follow, being a national president. And then I also became the board of director of the Tour Guides Federation of the Philippines. I ended my term last year. Now I'm training tour guides. And that's part of your passion in the tourism industry. You talk to students, go to schools, spread tourism awareness in the local government units of different walks of life, not just tourism officers, the service providers, even senior citizens. They would love to tour your province, or our province, by the way. And when you ask them questions, then that's the time that you would know that when they answer well, that they have listened to you. So that's a very good achievement when you know that your people, a lot of people are touring around the province, a lot of students are learning for tourism, and they are now graduates. I cannot fool around because most of my students are all over, not only just in Bacolod, but all over the Philippines and even abroad. That's an achievement for us.
Yes, thank you. Miss Amy.
I am a product of really generous mentors and very passionate teachers, and I'm very fortunate of that. And I'm saying this in good faith to all of the students. I think we have to really admire your institution for organizing such symposiums.
Yeah.
And for this really empowered women to sit in front of you and taking their time off from their busy day is really something that you also have to appreciate. So with that in mind, please ask questions. I am a product of inquisitiveness. I always make sure that I ask questions if I'm not sure of what I'm doing. I wanted to learn. I have role models, I admire people, and this is where I am. I am not coming from a well-off family. My father is a graduate of architecture, but he did not take up the board exam. He was doing constructions, seasonal. So when I was looking for a career, there was no definite career because your life was, there's a really obvious limitation. You cannot dream big because you're lacking of resources. You wanted to become Miss Universe, but then your body cannot achieve that. So it is really, of course, they said dream big, but my realities does not align to that. And usually it's instead of my mother being my first supporter, she's very supportive of me, but she would usually be the one to make me keep quiet. I would usually tell my mom, "Ma, do not worry, magwaman ko sa TV. Mama, tipos mo batian ka sa tupad balay mo." But it was really law of attraction. I drew my life plan. I was writing my life. So when I was in Singapore in 2014, I had this LinkedIn notebook. And I was given a LinkedIn notebook. I wrote my life 5 years from now. When I turned 31, sige na lang ko na lang akong age. And when I turned 31 years old, I looked back to that book when I was given the opportunity to speak before youngsters or the youth. Actually, if I am invited for a speaking engagement, I clear out my schedule because I believe that's my mission. My life was really drawn to become a testimony of His glory because my name is Amy Grace. It's Grace. Amy in French means beloved. I'm His beloved Grace. So my life is a witness of obedience and flowing in grace. Because if the people who know our family and see where we are now, everybody would say, wow, that's the hand of God there. But it's not saying, oh, this is the right career. You would know that it is the right place because things are just being showered before you. All you have to do is just learn. Take out the pride. Be a open canister. Receive. Fill in. Because if you think that you're full, decline comes in. So whatever I do, I will come in. Everybody would think I'm intelligent already, but no, I keep on learning. Until now, I have 2 businesses I still would want to study. Why? Because life is a never-ending process of learning. So all of you are here. Take the chance to ask questions. Then you will finally find it in your heart that I wanted to become a doctor, but my resources are not enough. That's why we feature a lot of success stories to inspire all of you. So I think that's the thing. For you to understand what is the right career is to really find the calling in your heart. And that's the finally, because more than an entrepreneur, I am a coach. I'm a life coach. They call us coaches. I'm also a teacher by nature. I teach children from 1.5-year-old to professional. Those who wanted to really develop their inquisitiveness, their brain power. That's what we do. And that's where I found myself with. So I think that's all that I can say right now.
That is wonderful. Well, because when you open your heart, grace comes in. When you open your mind, you get to learn more. And you should not be afraid to say that you do not know. Do not be afraid to ask questions because there's no wrong questions in life or at any given time. So go ahead, ask questions later. Okay. Now let's go to Miss Maria.
For me, I would say there was an exact moment where I really had an epiphany or of something. It was when I first arrived here in Talisay. By the way, in Teach for the Philippines, we are gathered together. We are a group of young leaders, not necessarily education graduates, and then we are trained for 2 months rigorously in teacher training, human development, and leadership development, as well as community engagement. So we had that whole 2-month-long process of training, we had to live together, and then we had to learn all these things, and it was 2 months was also the time for me to reflect. And those 2 months, I was also away from home. And then, right after those 2 months, diretso na dito, we had to go, we were already placed here in our placement schools. And then, for me, during our first ever flag ceremony in Talisay Elementary School, I don't know, siguro maybe surrounded by all the students in that covered court, and when we were singing the Negros hymn, the Ed March, and then they were doing their daily activities, I felt chills. I was suddenly crying at that moment, and then I said to myself, "Shucks, this is where I want to be. This is really what I want to do. Be with the students, be with kids, help them discover their own potentials." Because when you're in a classroom, it's brimming with ideas, it's filled with knowledge, it's filled with mischief, and kung ano-ano pang kalokohan. But then in the end of the day, these students, these kids are the people I've learned to love here in Negros. They've become my family, they've become my home, and they've become the people I wake up for. So it was at that moment that I realized that I really love what I am doing right now. And so maybe if I could say something to everyone here, if you were trained by the best teachers, the best leaders, if you were molded in a great school, let it be for a purpose. Let it be for someone, for our students or the children of our country who also need to have access to quality, relevant, and inclusive education.
Yes, thank you.
Philippine Reef is not the first NGO that I work with. It's probably the 4th. And the reason why I'm working with Philippine Reef is when I came back here in Bacolod, because before I was based in Cebu. So for me, in this current organization, I also had that moment when we were in Kawayan and we had to handle a baby pygmy whale, a juvenile pygmy whale stranding. So when we were like the first step, kasi when mammals go to the shore, the first step that you need to do is to bring them back into the ocean because we don't have marine hospitals to cater for those animals. So we had to bring it back into the ocean, and the following day it came back. So it's really, really sick. So when they come back to the shore, they're really sick. So we need to handle them. I had zero training on mammal stranding, but you have to do it because what do you do with the whale? I mean, you need to help it at some sort. It doesn't even speak to you because it doesn't speak your language. So you need to find a way to save it. And so we're calling like marine biologists, veterinarians, and asking them, what do we do? We're calling DNR. How do we address the situation? And then we, in our very inquisitive mind, just ask, can you just tell us the survival rate of this kind of situation? And then the veterinarian was telling us, 0. So you
That was scary.
can't imagine the heartbreak at that moment. The whale was still alive when we were like holding it. It's a baby. It has a lot of cutter shark bites. I don't know if you know what cutter shark bites are, but it's a very nasty kind of bite. So we're looking at it and we're telling ourselves, oh my God, it's gonna die. If the statistics for this kind of situation is 0, then we should better handle our emotions. So we stayed with the whale. We played with him a little bit. We made it swim, and then at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon of that second day, it died. So right now, my focus in Philippine Reef is plastic waste management. The threat in marine life is one of the things that we also produce in the land. It's plastic waste. There's a lot of movement in the world against plastic. And every time I feel tired because talking with corporations who produce single packaging is very difficult. Installing laws that are responding to plastic waste, to solid waste management is also difficult. So every time I'm in a moment that is, like, this is such a challenging job, we just remember that time that we hope there are less stranding happening in our oceans. Well, last 2 weeks I think there was this whale with 40 kilogram of plastic found in Mindanao. So
That is
there's
disheartening.
more work
Yeah.
that is needed. So, but there's that affirmation, and somehow it's a little bit of work that you contribute, but you feel good that you're able to contribute to that. Sorry if my sharing is a little bit sad, but it's not always fun in the work that we do. And maybe in your career in the future, you'll also encounter some setbacks or some down moments. It's good to find mentors. Mentors are really, really important. Ask questions. Questions are so wonderful. I mean, I'm not saying this to encourage you to ask questions later, although it would really be good if you do. But if you really ask questions, and don't pretend pala that you know it. Like, kabalo ko. Tapos when you do the job, sala, gali. Tito ko, luya, mana. So ask questions para efficient. And then, don't be afraid, Guru. Kahit nothing is wrong when asking questions. And it's okay man to commit a little bit of mistake. Better than to pretend na you know it all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Miss Melia?
For young kids, just like you, it is okay to commit mistakes.
Yes.
You still have enough time to correct it. But what is important, you should be mindful kung saan ka mo nagsala, and then learn from it. Okay? Another thing is, what fascinated me the most is the word that states, be a game changer.
Yeah.
Don't be just ordinary. Try to go and walk to the road less traveled. Because life is not a walk in the park.
Yes.
You need to toil. You need to work hard. You need to dream. When you dream big. When you dream, the dream that should scare you, and make things happen. It's okay to fail. Another thing is, I'm always fascinated when I was grade 6. I read this book about the meeting of the sperm and the egg. Nakabasa ka mo na?
No.
About the meeting of the
Share with
sperm
us.
and the egg. There's millions of sperms. Then met the one egg.
Yes.
And it becomes
A baby.
you.
Yeah,
It becomes you.
Yeah.
There inside the tummy, the meeting of the sperm and the egg, you're already a winner. So there's no point for you to feel that you're a failure. You are all winners. Will you agree with me?
Yes.
Yes. You should believe that in your heart. And when you do something, try to give your 110% of the task given to you. No, say no to tomorrow. When you do your best, you give it your 110%, then people will notice that you are really good in the things that you do.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Okay? There's also here that you should be a game changer. No matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter how old you are, be there to inspire other people.
Yes.
Be an inspiration to someone. So you should be very careful of the things that you do as well.
Yes.
Okay? Another thing, you only need one person to throw stones in the water to create ripples. If you think you're good, then pay it forward.
Yes.
I met this person who is that she is actually a son of a sakada. You know what sakada is?
Yes.
Okay, a sakada. And then he said to himself, and he promised to himself, nga ang iya mama papa sakada, iya mama maid, iya tiyo sakada, maid man. Tanan-tanan niya nga utod maid sila. So what had happened is, according to him, dapat this moment in my generation, because poverty is a curse. You know that? In my generation, he made promise to himself that the curse of being poor should end with me and in me. So what did happen? He works very hard. And you know, the landowner saw him and said, okay, I think you're class valedictorian, I will sponsor your college. And after that, he finished magna cum laude. After graduating magna cum laude, he went abroad to study and he became very, very rich. And he came back to the landowner and said, "Sir, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. The opportunity to study. And then it made me who I am right now."
Yes.
And the landowner said, don't pay me back. Pay it forward.
Yes.
And what he is doing right now is also sending more students, indigent students to college. I'll tell you, you are all listening to me, how many of us here try to be that star. After your course, always remember what you learned from us. This is a wisdom of experience. We've been here for so long.
Yes.
So if we're sharing something to all of you, put this in your heart. We are sowing a good seeds into your heart. No? Try to be grateful to your parents. That's very important.
Yes.
Take good care of them. If you will take good care of your parents and the love of the parents, the sacrifices of your parents, you give it back to them, you will be blessed abundantly as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Diba? That is beautiful. Life skills, life experiences, the kindness that you sow, without knowing it, it will just go back. And what they have said, do not be afraid to make mistakes. If you have faith, keep on believing. Your mess will turn into a message, and your test will become your testimony if you will rise above it. So, do not be afraid to fail. Sometimes you change careers. You shift careers because, hindi gali para sa imo. It is okay, no? As long as you acknowledge it, and as long as you continue to keep moving forward. When you wake up, there are only two choices. To go back to sleep and keep on dreaming, or get up and make your dreams happen. Diba? So you've got to make your dreams happen. And we are very happy that we have with us here very generous women and wise women who are willing to share with you their experiences, the lessons that they have learned in life. Perhaps your eyes are now wide open into the opportunities that await you. It just takes you to decide which career is best suited for you. So once again, thank you, Miss Jenlyn Cordero, Miss Amy Grace, Miss Marian, Miss Len, and of course, Miss Nelia Nemenzo. Let's give them a big round of applause. And of course, to all of your audience, thank you so much for lending us your ears. We hope and pray that you are able to learn from our discussion, and may this guide you to really take on the path that is set for you. Remember, all of you were created special and unique. Do not compare yourselves with others. Do not boast. Each one of you has a destiny to take and a destiny to follow. It's up to you to take that. Be courageous. Appreciate what you have. And the bottom line, know your why. Live your purpose. Thank you so much for watching It's Time with Charie and for being here with us. Congratulations to the Office of CEA, Center for External Affairs, of course headed by Mr. Roderick Samonte and his staff for this. Thank you so much to Angela for coordinating with me. Don't forget, anything worth doing is worth doing well. God bless us all. I'm Charie Hineri Elon, your host for It's Time with Charie. Thank you.